Hey everybody, welcome to Gimme A Song. I'm your host, Jeff Phipps. This is the podcast where we talk about songs. I ask a friend of mine to give me a song. We'll talk about it, then I give them a song. We'll talk about it, and we'll just kind of do that. Today's guest is Will O'Donnell. Will, would you introduce yourself and tell me what you do?
Hey, my name's Will O'Donnell. I'm a comedian here in St. Louis, and that's what I do. I drive Uber and tell jokes.
Okay. What do you consider your biggest accomplishment so far as a comic?
A couple months ago, I opened for Dusty Slay at the Factory in St. Louis. That kind of felt like
how big is it? Night. So for people who don't know, how big is the Factory?
I think that night there were 1,500 people there.
And that's the largest crowd you've ever performed before?
Yeah.
When you walked out, what was that like?
It was cool. It felt like the stage. It was the hugest,
yeah,
literally and figuratively. It was the biggest stage I've ever been on. It's massive,
Yeah.
So I walked out and just, wow, 1,500 sets of eyeballs looking at me.
Did it take a second?
Yeah, it took a second, but I just got right into my rhythm, and
okay,
it's just like being at the Funny Bone,
Yeah. Did you use the whole stage?
Hell no, I never used more than I need 18 inches to shift back and forth on my feet, and that's about it.
Never take a step to the left or right.
I got to figure out how to use a tiny stage if I can use a big one.
Yeah, we record in St. Louis, so we're right outside of St. Louis right now. We're by Linden University. So we have three major clubs here. We have the Funny Bone in St. Louis, the Funny Bone in St. Charles, which is actually closer to us right now, and we have Helium. You got your start at the Funny Bone in St. Louis, right?
Yep.
And you perform a lot at the St. Charles one as well, and occasionally Helium. And what was it like getting started at that club, at Funny Bone? When did you think that, like, I've heard you say this before, like, this is my home club. When did that actually become like a sentence you could say out loud and it means something?
Probably a year in. I remember having a conversation with our mutual friend Ron Finger.
Yeah.
And he was like, you just need to spend all the time you can at Westport.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And I just kind of and I was like, at that time, it seemed like you kind of needed to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
Helium which right. I don't think is true if you're not a headliner.
Right.
But because neither of them really hold it against you.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, that is true. It's closer to my house. And I just kind of feel like it's kind of more, I don't know.
It just felt more comfortable.
It felt more comfortable, yeah. I've made this joke on stage before. It feels like the people who come to Westport are the exact same clientele who go to Six Flags.
Yeah.
I'm just comfortable talking to those people.
Yeah.
They just got a turkey leg out of their mouth. They're like, oh! You're just hammered.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, these are my cousins. I know
these are my people.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas I don't have I would call Helium closer to my home club personally.
Yeah.
Not that I have a home club. I'm not really, I don't go out enough. Like, you said, Ron said you need to hang out somewhere. And I've been told that. And then I don't have time.
Sure.
I'm busy. This is a part-time thing for me right now. And maybe when things change, I will really start digging into the club scene. Not that I don't want to. I just don't have time, but
I get that.
I always felt like Helium was more my scene, you know.
Helium had just opened when I started.
Yeah.
Maybe it had been open for a year or something, but it was definitely the new club.
Yeah. So no, I didn't start until the pandemic, which was the perfect time to start.
It was actually.
Comedy. In hindsight, it was
a lot of spots available.
With a lot of spots available, a lot of people quit and never came back.
Yeah.
They
took 18 months off.
Yeah, right. And then lost their curveball or whatever. know, but yeah. All kidding aside, there were a lot of spots, but at the same time, it was like, well, the open mic closed tonight. Or you get that notification. It's like, oh, so and so had COVID. And you were all in the same mic, you might want to get tested, So that's how long I've been doing comedy, seriously. And we've talked about this before. You said you don't remember. I brought it up before we started the podcast. You're at a lot of the people I've been talking to so far have full-time jobs. They're not really touring per se. And, they're trying to get work wherever they can. But you are pretty busy.
Yeah.
You are what we call, what I kind of call a tipping point. You're almost there where you're going to tell people you're a stand-up comic and there's no Ubering on the side. All of your income is going to come from stand-up comedy. As you're getting close to that, what does that feel like? Do you feel anything different?
No, it feels really good. It also, I don't know, maybe just in the last few months, I've been like, boy, I sure could use some money. You know, I've been doing it 8 years.
Yeah.
And I've never once complained about money. It's
Yeah.
like, you can't think about money when you're hosting and featuring. Like if you're
Yeah.
like, forget it. This
Right.
isn't your job.
There's no money in hosting or
There's
featuring.
no money in hosting and featuring.
You get like,
there's no money in entry level headlining or even like,
Yeah.
you know, just road dogging it. That's
Yeah.
not much money, you know?
right.
But like we all kind of hope, well, maybe someday I can sell tickets and make some money.
Yeah.
That's kind of, but how's it? I don't know. I just hope it continues to go well. I just kind of hope.
Yeah.
All right. If I keep doing A, B, and C, I'm just going to keep getting better.
Yeah.
And if I keep getting better, opportunities will open up.
Right.
And
you're getting a lot of opportunities. People are
Yeah.
asking for you by name.
Yeah.
Come host for me here. Come, feature for me here. That kind of thing. You have a headlining gig coming up
Yeah.
at St. Charles.
Right.
I don't know when this is going to come out, people. So this might already be passed. Don't look at this to like buy tickets to the show. Odds are the event's already taken place.
But go to sclfunnybone.com.
Right.
Check out upcoming headliners. I might be on there.
You might be on there. Might not.
It's going to be
Way past that when it comes out.
I might be dead by then. You know.
He's not. Don't know. But
creepy with that movie.
yeah, that'd be. Let's not go there. So beginning headliners don't get a cut of the door,
Correct.
and
I guess they could.
they could. You could negotiate.
Not be
The
a
answer is
bad
going to be
deal.
no. Right? Yeah. Yeah. We'll give you.
Yeah, we'll give you a cut of the door.
Sure. Yeah.
No one's going to show up.
Right. So to talk about like the money, because people don't talk about it. People don't know. It's like 50.
I don't know. You know.
Well, no, but I'm saying like, so when you talk about like hosting, that's like $40-$50.
Yeah.
Featuring is maybe $100-$200.
200 would be high end.
Yeah.
100 is pretty good.
Yeah.
Around here, 80.
Yeah.
It was 60.
And then headlining could
paid.
be, a couple $100.
Yeah.
Maybe 500 max
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So when you're talking about like trying to make it as a comic, like you have to have that full-time job. But like I said, you're getting close to where, you can be a full-time comic. You mentioned money. So now you're, so you're doing the things you want to do and you're not getting paid. What is the, how do you figure like the compensate? Where is that extra money going to come in? If you don't want to Uber anymore, where do you think what's the plan, I guess?
I mean, after we get done recording this podcast, I'm going to go drive Uber for about 10 hours. And then I'm going to do it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
if I don't want to, I'm at this point now where that's what I do. I drive Uber and I do comedy.
Yeah.
I don't want to take a job.
Yeah. We'd actually talked
the
about
flexibility of schedule.
You actually, when I first kind of met you, you had a job.
Uh-huh.
And you were like, I'm thinking about quitting because I want this to happen.
Yeah.
So
just had a slow transition. Someday someone will ask me, when did you go full-time comedy? And I'll never have a clear answer.
Yeah.
Like,
you're
I phased out of working,
Yeah.
There wasn't a moment. I didn't, because I did a sales job before this.
Yeah.
But that wasn't a job. It was a commission only thing.
Oh,
I kind
okay.
of did it, because it was kind of like Uber. I kind of did it when I needed to.
Yeah.
And then before that, I had a job. Like I
Yeah.
worked a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Carried a lunchbox to work.
Right.
I haven't done that since 2018.
Okay.
And I hope to never go back.
I don't blame you.
We'll see.
Yeah. Knock on wood,
Oh, man. What if the economy collapses? Well, if the economy collapses, we're all screwed.
Yeah.
And I'm too old to learn. I can't start over again. Come on, comedy.
You're right. Yeah, there's no transition at a certain point. It's like,
I'm
this is who I am.
44 years old, man. I'm not
Yeah.
going to go learn
Anything.
medical coding or whatever.
Yeah.
This is it for me. This has got it. And I kind of like that, right?
Yeah.
I burn the ships.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We're not
I
going
think
to
that's
talk.
the way to do it.
Yeah. I have a band that I'm a huge fan of.
Oh, I thought you were about to tell me you're in a band.
Oh God, no. I have enough.
Thank God.
I got enough stuff.
You're like,
to do.
I'm in a band.
Yeah, right. We're trying to make it.
Full-time.
We're trying to make it. Yeah. And and then that $100-$200 you got to cut 4 ways,
Yeah, right.
4 or 5.
Jeez,
God forbid you bring on a
imagine?
keyboard guy, and then he's got to,
Can you imagine
No.
splitting comedy money up 5 ways?
No.
And
little
carrying
dollar.
in heavy equipment.
Yeah, and then your van getting stolen because you're in St. Louis.
Yeah,
Because
and then-
we're famous for that.
That's
stealing
true.
equipment. No, I couldn't imagine. And you pretty much derailed where I was going.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it wasn't important. It'll come back to me on the drive out of here. I'll be like, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to say. But no, I'm not in a band. Oh, my favorite band. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. The lead singer was went and got a degree in education, or not education, English, and he was like working as an editor on a magazine, and he went and became a barista. Towards the end, because he's like, I don't want anything to get in the way of my dream. And so I want the most mundane job where I'll never make it, I'll never be anything, and then just take off from there.
I totally understand that.
Yeah, and you're doing
Nobody would do it. Nobody would understand. I'm sure nobody understood
why
he did that. But that makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to do comedy or trying to be a musician, you need income, but it has to be something that doesn't take up much of your,
right.
It doesn't take up too much of your give a fucks.
Yeah.
Not too much of your brain, but too much of your give a fucks.
Yeah.
You can't be a high-powered, high responsibility job because that's going to take up all your fucks.
Yeah.
And you need those for writing jokes,
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to encourage people when they do comedy. It's like, yeah, just our friend Ronaldo, he was a janitor.
He was janitor.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You can mop floors and think about your jokes all day.
Absolutely.
You can drive Uber and think about your jokes all day. But if you're running some ad agency or something, it's like, no, they need you to be stressed out.
No,
That's your job is to be stressed out.
I got a pretty high stress job.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't go to the clubs every weekend,
Right.
So there's
They need you to answer email. They need you to put out this fire. And all
right.
that
Yeah.
shit.
No, absolutely.
Yep.
But I get paid decent, so
right. That's why they pay you. Well. That's why you don't get paid well to mop floors.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Go do something else. Please get out of this.
Yeah.
All right. Covered everything I wanted to cover in comedy. So the podcast is what I call a homework podcast. I hate to say that. I think it's a good idea, but whatever. Was talking to a different comic, and we were drinking because that's what you do. And after shows, not before. If you're a comic, do not drink before shows. Terrible idea.
I agree.
And don't get high, don't drink. Just
I couldn't agree more.
Keep it
do
clean.
all you want after your set.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then you're unwinding. But beforehand, it's a job.
Right.
Anyway, we were listening to music at a bar, one of those touch tunes, and he's like, he had a Drive-By Trucker shirt on, and the Drive-By Truckers?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And he's like, you gotta listen to this song. And we did, and I was like, oh no, you've got to listen to this. That was the podcast. So I asked people to come on, and I asked them to give me a song that they has meaning towards them. I don't want like the Muppets theme song. I don't want to, this isn't a joke to me. This is like serious. I want to have like a real conversation. So Will, I asked you to give me a song, and you gave me what?
I gave you Nathaniel Ratliff. Ratliff. I don't even know how to say his name. Nathaniel Ratliff and the Night Sweats.
Yes.
And the song is Hey Mama. At first, when you asked me, I was like, I'll probably give you a Bob Dylan song because he's my favorite artist of all time. A huge Dylan fan.
Yeah.
But then I was driving down to Tulsa to do comedy at the Looney Bin, and I just was like, oh, I haven't listened to this Nathaniel Ratliff album in 2018 is when it came out, and when I was listening to it a lot.
Yeah.
And I listened to it on the way to Tulsa, and I was like, oh, this song's so great. Oh, this song's so great. Oh, this song's so great. And then that Hey Mama came on, and then halfway through, I'm driving on Interstate 44, and I'm like, oh, this is probably the song I should send Jeff. But okay, so why is that song significant to me? I was working. 2018. End of 2017, beginning of 2018, I was working at that job where I, 9 to 5, carry a lunch pail, blue collar, hell. I mean, it sucked,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, jobs suck. They suck. That's why you get paid money.
Yeah.
And blue collar jobs, they physically suck.
Yeah.
It sucks. Jobs suck in all their own ways, right? I feel like I'd rather work in a blue collar, miserable physical environment than a comfortable air conditioned cubicle. To me, that's a worse hell. A cubicle office hell is worse than sweaty, oily, welding smoke. They both have their own flavor of hell, but they're both hellish. Yeah. But at least over here, I can say motherfucker, and I can spit in the trash can.
Okay, as a white collar worker, Will, I'm gonna let you know you can cuss your ass off.
Okay.
I
guess it depends on how corporate and how.
Well, you have your friends and your coworkers. That's like that small circle, and anything goes.
Right.
As long and then you've got to test the new person as they come in and kind of gauge where they're at, because you'll eventually get that one person who's like, none of this. You know,
Right.
I
I'm gonna
can't.
tell.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell, and you know,
You
then it ruins the
tell.
fun. But before then,
You tell.
pretty much anything goes.
Okay.
So just FYI.
Well, I was working that job for
Yeah.
5 years at that point,
Mhm.
and it was pretty bad. It was fine, but it was whatever. Anyway, they moved me. They were like, "Oh, we don't really have enough work for you in here right now."
Uh-huh.
We're basically, they didn't use the word, but what they did was they demoted me to the warehouse.
Okay.
Go pull parts in the warehouse.
Yeah.
I've never pulled parts in a warehouse.
Yeah.
You talk about working. Fuck.
Yeah.
Just running around a warehouse all day long
Mhm.
with a sheet with an order on it.
Yeah.
Putting parts in a cart, running
You're
every
not,
day.
You're not going to believe this. I'm going to tell you this anyway. I was a airplane mechanic in the Air Force.
Oh, wow.
And actually worked in the warehouse at one point. We'd do a rotation. So you'd work on the jet.
Yeah, yeah.
And then eventually you'd work in the warehouse pulling parts, pulling screws, pulling things and everything they need, washers, whatever. Like you get a list, like you're saying, and then you go.
Just go pull an order.
Yeah. And then I worked in a warehouse at a hospital while I was in college.
And the thing about a warehouse is it doesn't matter how hard you work and how well you get the job done. The next day, brand new stack of orders on the
That's
printer.
right.
Next day, brand new stack of orders.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
a few
And you
weeks
gotta
of that.
you gotta replenish, you know, and you're always refilling the warehouse.
So my hat's off, man. My hat's off to people who work real jobs.
Yeah.
And I talk about it on stage. It's like, I'm trying to make it in comedy because I love comedy and I feel like I'm in the right lane, but also because like it's not a real job.
Yeah.
I get to stand on stage and talk for an hour doing the thing I want to do.
Right.
And they let you drink while you do it.
Yeah.
It's like go work
And
in
at
a
the
warehouse.
most an hour.
Go work on a construction site.
Yeah.
Go work in a cubicle and like, fuck, man, job. So anyway, you know, it was bad, and then it got real bad. I'm in the warehouse and I'm like, I wasn't married to my wife, but we were together at the time, and I was like, she told me later, she was like, you were so far down that you didn't let yourself get down. Like I didn't even allow myself to have negative thoughts because I was like, I'll fall off the charts. Like I gotta just stay positive. Just stay positive. Like
that's good.
But I was struggling, you know? And then like, but then this song, Hey Mama.
Yeah.
And here's what I like about the song. And I was telling my wife, Nicole, about it the other day. It's a song about a guy who's like at the end of his rope, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, life's hard. It's been a struggle. I'm not doing well. Things are bad. Hey Mama, I want to tell you about it.
Yeah.
And at the time, what I wanted Mama to say to him was, oh, poor baby.
Yeah.
Come here. It's all going to be okay. But that's not what she says to him.
No.
She says, sit down. This is going to be hard to hear.
Yeah.
You haven't done shit.
Right.
You haven't worked that hard.
Yeah.
You haven't run that fast or that far. What you haven't been through isn't shit.
Right.
Suck it up.
Yeah. You haven't.
And I was in the warehouse like, oh, fuck.
You ain't worked hard enough.
Yeah.
You ain't ran far enough, you know, like.
You haven't tried hard enough to say you tried.
Yeah.
I love
it. Is your mom still alive?
Yes.
Okay. Was she a single mom or you know?
No, I have a stepdad. I grew up. My parents were divorced real young, and I grew up with my stepfather. And they're still married. They've been married for 43? They've been married for 37 years or something.
Okay.
So.
You have a good relationship with both of them?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm close with my mom, and I love my stepdad.
Okay.
You know.
Did you, when you hear the song, do you immediately, is that the advice your mom would give you?
I think so. I think some version of that. Yeah. I mean, first she would go, oh, poor baby, I love you.
Yeah.
But then she would go, you know, life's tough, son.
Yeah.
Nobody told you it was going to be easy.
Right.
Maybe work harder.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm really grateful that I have that balance with her. I feel like that was always her balance. You know?
Yeah.
She wouldn't go straight to the tough shit.
Yeah.
Although sometimes she might. You know what I mean?
Sometimes you need a kick in the ass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and my mom raised 6 boys. So I'm number 4 out of 6 boys.
Holy cow.
So that just kind of was part of her. Like, she kind of had to be like, Mom, I fell off my bike and skinned my knee. Well, stop being a little pussy.
Yeah.
You know, like,
maybe the first one she kind of coddled, but by like 3, she's just like, you know, put some dirt on it. You'll be okay.
Exactly. And I was number 4. So it was
right.
Like,
so then it was even less.
Whatever your name is, suck it up. Okay. Oh, sorry, Mom.
So she had 6 kids before the stepdad, or a couple of them?
No, so I'm number 4.
Okay.
And the last of the O'Donnells.
Okay.
And then there was a divorce.
Yeah.
And then 2 more sons.
Okay. Wow, that's a big family. I was the middle kid. My mom's not with me anymore, so she passed almost 12 years ago. When you gave me this song, it was kind of hard.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh man. And I've heard the song. I knew the song. So have you ever seen them live?
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they had the Willie Nelson tour. What do they call it? Bob Dylan's on the next one, the Outlaw Fest. It's
nice.
In September 9th.
Okay.
I got lawn seats if you want to come with.
Okay.
But it was this year. It's Willie Nelson and Bob Dylan and John Cougar Mellencamp.
Jeez.
So
all-star lineup.
Yeah.
Willie and Bob are like 90 years old.
Right.
I've seen them both.
Yeah.
They're both still great.
Yeah. Well, a couple years ago, it was Willie, Nathaniel Ratliff, and then Jason Isbell.
Very nice.
So it was a good.
I've seen Isbell 5 times live.
He was just
I've
here.
seen Dylan probably 5 times.
Yeah.
I've seen Willie once. I almost fight people when they tell me Dylan sucks now. Like people, I get so frustrated with people.
What was the first time you saw Dylan? Let's go there.
2007, 2008.
So you saw him when he was a lot younger and probably had more.
He was a lot younger, but not that much younger. Like,
yeah, right.
He still sounded like bleh, bleh, bleh in 2008. But like, I was into his new album.
Yeah.
He had an album come out in 2006 called Modern Times, and I love that album. It's really probably his last really great album.
Yeah.
And I was obsessed with it. And then I went and watched the show, and he played mostly songs. He played all the songs off that album.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
But people go see Bob Dylan, and they think they're going to hear Times Are A-Changin'.
Yeah.
Like the guy's 23 years old. I'm like, he's 83.
Yeah.
He doesn't, like, he's going to play the new album.
Right.
And he's got a hot blues band. They fucking cook.
Yeah.
And he's going to get on the mic, and he's going to go, and you're going to fucking love it. And if you don't love it, then don't fucking come.
Right. No, you should know what you're getting.
Yeah.
My girlfriend and I, it's almost like collecting the Infinity Stones. It's like we got to mark these people up. We got to see these people before they go.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, you know. So it's like I went and saw Kiss on their last tour recently. You know, it's like I got to mark these off. So it's like Bob Dylan. This would be my first time seeing him, but
listen to the new album before you go.
Okay. So let's get back to Hey Mama though. Like we'll get sidetracked. It's okay.
Sure.
You have your mom. You have this song. And it's just, man, it builds to this just center point of like, and then she's like, you picked a bad time to listen to me, just right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Know? And it's like,
it's just kind of a cryptic line, right?
Right.
Like, what does she mean by that?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't know what she means. I think she means like, I told you my previous advice. You picked a bad time to listen to me.
Yeah, yeah. That's how I took it. Like,
is,
or worse, like you followed in my footsteps.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like now I got to tell you that you haven't done nothing. But up until then, you were just kind of messing around, just doing fuck all. And now it's like, now I got to sit you down. Now we got to have like a real talk. You know, why couldn't you have listened? You know, why do I got to tell you this because you didn't listen? You know, because you were following in my footsteps and not really.
Right. You listened to me when I was setting a bad example.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's the way I took it. And man, that's just, you talk about getting choked up. Like you can get choked up on, like songs don't choke me up a lot. Some will, a lot of them don't. Like It's got to really, and like that just hits hard. It hits so hard, you know, it's like, God, you know, and, you know, for me, I don't have my mom anymore. I can't have that conversation, you know, it's so weird, you know, and he's just sitting there talking about it. And it's like, man, that's just, it's hard now. It's harder now, but like, she was never like an advice giver, really. She was more like kind of the counterexample, you know, it's like, we'll talk more about it when we get to my song, but just kind of tough. You know, you think about it. My favorite joke of my mom is like, yeah, you know, Mom, you love me. And she's like, I don't love nobody.
Wow.
And that's what she'd say all the time. She'd tell you she loved you, but like if you asked her, like, Mom, don't you love me? I don't love anybody. And walk off. Like, damn it.
Wow.
You know? Or I think about like you know, you piss her off.
Yeah.
And what'd your mom do when you pissed her off?
I mean, she wasn't afraid to spank. She wasn't afraid to, you know, yell and
right.
Here's my favorite. My mom used to have this move sometimes. She'd grab you by your mouth like this.
Jesus.
She wham. She had like this claw, dude. It'd be on. You didn't have time to snap back.
Yeah.
So, wham. And she'd squeeze out, I'm fired! I'm fired! I'm fired! Talk about a power move, dude.
Yeah, what a move.
Claw.
Throw shit. My mom would throw like cans. Like if you were in the kitchen and you were fucking with her for some reason and just being an idiot,
Yeah.
whoosh. Like you've got like seconds to like
throw it like whatever she was drinking, just finish it off.
Just something, anything, you know, or it'd be like she'd be making dinner or something. And I just remember like a can of corn like coming like right at me, you know. And she had a pretty decent arm. So you just, you know, you're trying to do the Matrix move before it actually hit you, you know. I remember that.
Everybody was hitting their kids when we were growing up, though. It wasn't
tap the mouth. That's anything is
just
slap. Yeah.
That was brushing her hair, come after you with a hairbrush.
Yeah, I've had that happen a couple times. But yeah, it would just be like you'd say something just inappropriate, you know, and just be like, and you'd be like, all right, I'm sorry.
I definitely had more. I like hitting your kids was more common than not. When we were growing up. Well, whereas now it's like people are like, oh my god.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's times change or whatever. But they're probably right. I mean, to be honest,
I know. I'm so conflicted about it because on one hand, like I'll hear someone be like, never strike your children.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, it does this and that. I'm like, oh, they're so right. But then on the other hand, I'm like, fucking knock the shit out of that kid. Like, push him down a flight of stairs. Hit him with a large stick. Leave some marks on his back, some scars. Like,
yeah.
I'm so tired of that. Beat children. Okay. Sorry, just a little bit of truth coming out. A little bit of honesty.
The views and words expressed by Will O'Donnell are not necessarily those of the podcast Give Me a Song and or Jeff Phipps exclusively. Just FYI. So I don't necessarily disagree.
Right.
But I'm not going to completely endorse it either. Our kids are, our son's birthday is today. He just turned 19 and our daughter is 21. And she's the one who edits the podcast. So she's actually going to play this back and listen to us talking.
Happy
she's
birthday.
Gonna be like, yeah, you didn't grow up in St. Louis, right?
Correct. I did not.
You grew up where?
Louisiana, Missouri.
Louisiana, Missouri. So how close is that to, like, what's that by? Because that makes no sense.
Up by Hannibal.
Okay.
It's about an hour from St. Louis, hour and 10 minutes. A town of 3,000 people.
Yeah, I grew up in a town of 6,000 people.
Oh, wow.
So, but there was a military base attached, so that's how I ended up down here. Nathaniel is from Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah,
did you know that?
I did know that and forgot. I forgot he was from Springfield.
And then just recently recorded his latest video in Belleville, Illinois, where I live now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so a lot of small town connections here. I think him as an artist, I think him coming from a small town like Springfield, that area, influences music a lot.
Sure.
Like he went to Springfield, then he went to Denver and then made it. Where he didn't go to like a traditional big city to make it, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So I love his music though.
I do too. I especially love that album.
Yeah.
That album, like I said, I was just listening to that album wearing headphones, wearing my school headphones in the warehouse.
Yeah.
Like going through such a hard time. And that album like kind of got me through that time, especially that song. You know, that song was like, I had to skip it a few times to walk around the warehouse crying, you know, but.
Did it really hit you that like every single time?
Well,
or most
maybe
of the time?
not, but I definitely did on the way to Tulsa because I hadn't listened to that album in a while.
Yeah.
You get into an album intensely.
Yeah.
And then you can put it down for a long and that's my favorite thing. You put it down for a long time and almost forget about it. And then you come back to it. Like, man, I forgot how much I love this.
Yeah. Are you a big album guy as opposed to like a single?
I do kind of miss albums, right?
Yeah.
Like, because of the way we grew up, that's how you listen to music.
Yeah.
You had to buy a whole CD. Or a cassette.
Yeah.
And then like it was a major purchase, right?
It was
like $17 for one CD.
Yeah.
And you only knew one song on it, maybe two. And then you got it and you hoped it had their good songs on it. Sometimes it didn't.
3.
You know?
I'd always say if I can find 3 songs off of this, I considered it, then the price was a victory.
Yeah.
And then if you couldn't,
sometimes there'd be 3 good songs and 10 stinkers.
Yeah.
But you'd listen to them because you spent your money, man. Like
when I was in the Air Force, Blind Melon had come out with the Bumblebee song.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the name of the song, but the girls in the Bumblebee costume.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The one Blind Melon song.
Blind Melon song that everybody knows, right? And this guy we hung out with, I'm not gonna call him a friend of mine, acquaintance. I didn't really like the guy. He bought the album, and we were gonna listen to it on the way back. So we listened on the way back, and he just kept waiting for that song to come up. And I don't know if you know this, the rest of it's like really alt rock.
Oh.
It's not like fun, mellow, that song. It's like really heavy alt rock. And he was just like, what's going on, and like the sadness that came over him the longer this album came on, and the more despondent he got, because it's just like, what a, like, oh, I fucked up and I'm out $20.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Kids now have no idea, because it's just
no
Spotify or
it's
Apple Music, and you go, oh, I don't like the rest of the album. Who cares?
What are you, an Apple or a Spotify guy?
Apple.
I get Spotify. I don't know why.
I don't know why either.
Yeah.
I don't care about Apple. Like,
yeah.
It's something that annoys me is like people will be like, Apple people love iPhones.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know anyone who loves Apple. Like, I know people who hate Apple.
Yeah.
I don't really know anyone who loves it. People are
Yeah.
just like, yeah, it's fine. That's what I use. That's
Yeah.
all I am. It's fine. That's what I use.
I just got it from day one.
I got it from day one, and I don't want to switch. That's the
Yeah.
only reason I use it.
Yeah, I've spent too much money in their ecosystem. I
spent too much money. They have all my photos. They have all my
Yeah.
shit. And I'm too lazy to like learn a new operating system.
No.
That's all. But people are like, oh, you're an Apple guy? You're in the Apple cult? I'm like, oh, it's like my phone. It works. I'm an idiot, and I don't want to learn anything new. Like, and like Apple makes stuff for idiots. Like,
they're
have
very good at
idiot
that.
in mind.
Yeah.
And that's what I am when it comes to technology.
I'm their target demographic.
Yeah, like, leave me alone. Like, oh, you're going to get an Apple tattoo? What are you talking about? Nobody loves Apple. It's
not like that.
It's the product for people who don't love computers.
Yeah, you would think
You're
so.
the nerd with your stupid Android. You love computers. You know how to work on your phone. What kind of freak knows how to work on his phone? I have an Apple because I don't know how to work on it. Leave me alone. Is that clear? I don't know who I'm talking to right now.
Whoever's listening, hopefully people. Hopefully it just doesn't go
Yeah.
into Ethernet and die instantly.
Oh, the comments.
So, yeah, well, that's fine. All right. I gave you a song.
You Never Even Call Me By My Name by DAC.
Yeah.
David Allan Coe.
David Allan Coe. Man, what do you think of the song? Let's start with what you think. I'll tell you what we'll talk for a little bit. I got a lot to say.
It's probably the first David Allan Coe song I ever heard.
Can you name more than 2 David Allan Coe songs?
I can name a lot, dude.
Okay.
I'm a big fan.
Oh, that's
I wouldn't say
awesome.
I'm a big fan, but I went through a David Allan Coe phase.
Okay.
He's great.
Yeah. Did you listen to the Pantera David Allan Coe album?
No.
Did you know they recorded one together?
No, I didn't know that.
Well, we'll talk about it more.
Did you know that he made a dirty/racist album?
Yes.
Okay.
I am aware of that.
I mean, a lot of people are aware of that. I
Yeah.
think he probably, I don't know, but he probably wishes he didn't. But I mean,
You would assume so.
right.
Yeah.
But like, I just think maybe when he made that album, it was at a time when you could make an album and like it didn't matter.
It was like tongue in cheek, and maybe
And like,
But you were
no
playing-
one's gonna hear it, and I'll just
Right.
make another album. He didn't realize that someday the internet would exist and everyone would remember everything.
Yeah.
And like,
Well, I mean, you make it. You it's a choice, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like your jokes on stage. I joke with this at people at my work. It's like we talk a lot about AI at work because I work for a large tech firm that shall remain nameless, but they also make video games consoles.
Okay.
So kind of give you an idea, and they pivoted hard into AI,
yeah,
like really hard.
sure.
And so we talk about it, and I'm like, this AI is training off of songs, off of things like this, and I'm like, I don't want to say this, but like, it's weird to say, it's pretentious, but it's like you're an artist.
Mm-hmm.
You make art. You make art. I make art.
Mm-hmm.
And you make a choice. You're a relatively clean-cut comic. You can do clean, you can do dirty, but for a lot of guys you're open for now, they're clean comics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I've made a choice. I'm not like a dirty comic. I don't tell like sex jokes or anything like that. I curse. And that's about the extent, but I can take that out tomorrow. Maybe the jokes don't hit as hard,
Yeah.
but maybe I should rewrite them anyway so they do hit as hard either way. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But you, as an artist, as David Allan Coe, in the 70s, you made a racist, sexist, dirty album.
And I don't think he ever apologized for it. I don't think he's not that kind
I was
of guy.
I was reading up on it because I knew we were going to talk about it. And he was just kind of like, yeah, I did it, but I'm not a racist.
Yeah.
Was kind of like his answer for it. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, we could talk about it all day.
Sure.
And it's unfortunate,
Yeah.
because he wrote, did you know he wrote Take This Job and Shove It?
I did know that. He wrote that. Johnny
Yeah.
Paycheck made it famous.
Yeah.
But he wrote it. Yeah.
He wrote it.
Yeah.
So he's capable of writing like hits.
Yeah.
Big hits. He didn't write You Don't Have to Call Me.
Right.
Because there's a whole part about, we'll get to that. But yeah. So he's capable of writing hits, and it's just like, man, you made a choice. I didn't. I'm surprised that this is where you went immediately. It's kind of funny that was like the first place you went was this album, because I don't even know what to say. It's such a weird choice as a human being to do that,
I heard that his wife left him.
Oh yeah,
for a black guy,
probably,
and that's why he made that album. That's what he was feeling at the time.
Probably wouldn't surprise me,
but I don't know if that's true enough. That might just be a legend kind of thing.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I had his super hits or greatest hits album when I was in the country. The guy is a phenomenal vocalist. He's got one of the best country voices. Yeah. He wrote some great songs.
He did write some great songs.
He did some great covers. I think Would You Lay With Me in a Field of Stone? I think that might be a cover. I don't know who wrote it, but it's a great song.
Yeah.
Long Haired Redneck. That's a great song.
Yeah.
I can't think of. There's 10 more, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. But
yeah.
You Never Call Me By My Name. Probably the first one of his songs I heard, and the most famous.
Yeah.
It was my, I don't do karaoke. I haven't done karaoke in years, but I went through a karaoke phase back in 2005, 2006. That was my song. I would do.
That's why I chose the song.
Really? That's your karaoke song?
It's not mine. It's my dad's.
Nice. Okay.
So you were wanting to talk about mom, and I gave you a song to talk about dad.
Wow.
This is literally, I don't know if it's my dad's favorite song or not.
But that was his karaoke song?
That's his karaoke song.
That was my go-to.
Yeah.
Everybody will sing along. Everybody knows it.
It's weird how songs take a life of their own. Like Sweet Caroline, has that part where everyone sings along, And then so does You Don't Have to Call Me Darling, where, it's like, let me. Everybody sings, everybody knows that. When did that start? It's just kind of like those things you never know.
How do those things start? But I always wondered that. How did they start? Now we go, oh, it's because of TikTok. Oh, it's because of the internet.
Right, but it wasn't then.
It wasn't. Back then,
yeah.
I lived in a small town. It was like in the middle of fucking nowhere. And I heard all the same urban legends that kids heard in Ohio, in California, in Texas, in New York. How did that happen?
I don't know.
It's so weird. People are like, oh, if you eat the kid from Mikey from Life Cereal, he ate Pop Rocks and drank Coca-Cola and his stomach exploded and died. And I heard that in 1986.
Right.
And so did everyone in America. How did it happen? It's so weird.
I have a joke about that. I don't tell it very often. I just don't think it's great. It needs work. But it's like,
I have an idea about it. I have a woo-woo idea about it.
But when did we just start calling things a Mexican standoff? Like, if we all have guns pointed at each other,
it's not a Mexican standoff.
It's a Mexican standoff.
Yeah.
How? When?
I don't know.
How many times did that have to happen?
You think that it like spread?
Yeah.
I don't think it spread. I think it happens like, here's kind of a woo-woo idea. I think when one person thinks of something, magically, sort of, to use a lack of a better term, another person thinks of it at the same time. Like, human beings are sort of in tune with each other. And so ideas arise like that. I think it's not necessarily, I told you this and you heard it and you repeated it, but like a light bulb came on over here and then it also came on over here at the same time. Maybe. Because I just think that's some magical woo-woo stuff that happens.
I'm going to let you have that.
Okay.
I'm not going to contest it at all.
I don't know.
This is how we find out about things. This is, I always, me personally, a little bit more logically based is that like some kid moved from somewhere else and brought it with them. Right. And it just travels. It just travels. I think it's like biker culture could have had a lot to do with that song the way it did, because, he was a former member of the Outlaws. Is that right? He was a biker. And he was in the Louisville chapter of of the Outlaws. I guess he ain't read the signs that say I've been to prison. Someone ought to warn him before I knock him off his chair. Yeah. David Allan Coe, I feel like on stage he's singing and playing. And like if you heckled him, he might just come out there and kick your ass. There's a good possibility. He's like, I've been to prison and I was in a biker gang. No, absolutely. They actually booked him. So I'm from Mascoutah. I don't know if you know the town or not. It is. So I live in Belleville. So let's get really into the weeds on where I live, okay? Because this means nothing to anyone outside of, say, St. Louis Metro East area. Anyway, there's an Air Force base, Scott Air Force Base. It is the Air Mobility Command. So it's like a big deal. Ended up down here. My dad, I don't know how much he had to do with this, but they had Dave and Alan Coe play the American Legion in a 6,000 people town in
Wow.
like the mid 90s.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think, you and I could put a couple hundred, probably a couple thousand. Let's not insult David here, but like a couple of thousand, we could have him in the backyard by Monday easily, I think.
How amazing.
Yeah, because it's just like he just had he had to give up the rights to all these songs because these divorces.
Uh-huh.
He's been married like 5 times or something like that, and it's like that
Still
songwriting credit is
like 85.
Yeah,
something.
no, absolutely. No, I think he's my dad's age, is like 70 something.
Okay.
But yeah, like I think he'd show up for a few grand and maybe a hotel. You know what I'm saying? Like to give up like the right song, like we talked about writing songs, and it's like you write these songs and they take on a life of their own, but it's like there's so much money if you write a good song.
Mm-hmm.
Like take this job and shove it, or
Mm-hmm.
or you don't have to call me. These songs that like we're talking about, and it came out in the 70s, long before either one of us were born, or I might have been born right around the same time, but we're talking about it
Still talking about these
50
songs.
years later.
Still hear them, yeah.
You still hear them, and people still sing them on karaoke. It was your song. Really meant a lot to him. Like just country in general. Like I grew up in a house full of country.
Nice.
Can't listen to a minute of it.
Yeah. You hate it now? You don't like country?
It depends on I can listen to Willie. We went to the Willie concert. I knew every song, every word. George Jones.
Yeah.
I know every song, every word. Alan Jackson. I can't listen to what we call country today.
Modern pop country.
Well, it's Bon Jovi with a twang.
Yeah. Or some cases like hip hop with a twang.
Yeah, that's even worse.
There's you hear hip hop beats.
Yeah.
And then there's just a guy who comes in with a country
Georgia,
accent.
what was it, Georgia Florida line or whatever that was, like them.
But even like Morgan Wallen, there's some of those, where like he starts out with a verse and then the bass drops.
Yeah.
It's just a hip hop beat. And
right.
Like, I don't know. I used to hate it, and I still kind of hate it, but I've kind of opened back up to like I grew up listening to I grew up listening to 90s country.
Yeah.
And I went backwards, listening to 80s, 70s, 60s country.
Right, yeah.
And then I was that guy, like some people who like, oh, I don't like pop country. I like real country.
My outlaw country, that guy.
Fuck all the pop, pretty boy country. I like George Jones and George Strait and blah, blah. But like in recent years, I'll just be like, fuck it. Like, it's all fine.
Yeah.
Like I'll go down a float trip on the river and you'll hear all the worst modern country. And I'm like, that doesn't actually sound that bad. Like, like once I get over my like ideological opposition to it and just take it as aesthetics only.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Once you get a drink or two and it doesn't piss you off.
Right.
Yeah. But it's like if I were ever in my car by myself, like not a minute of it. Like it would just never. Like I'll go through phases where I'll go down like 80s, 70s, 80s country or something, and then it's just like childhood memories.
Me
at
too.
That point.
Yeah, we had a long drive the other day, my wife and I, and it was 90s country for like hours. And I was like, you know this song? She's like, no, I don't. She doesn't know any 90s. She doesn't know any country. I'm like, this is Martina McBride, 1996. Next song.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so. Every song is.
Where you at with Garth Brooks? If we're gonna talk country, let's talk country. Where you at with Garth Brooks?
He's probably my entry point into country music. Like so many more people.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Like, I'd love to say, oh, I've never liked him and I always knew he sucked or whatever. But like the truth is like he got me into country music, like a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think before Garth changed the game.
Yeah.
He completely changed the game.
No, absolutely.
He brought so many people into the fold. He grew the pie so much.
Yeah.
So I loved Garth Brooks when he first hit. And some of that stuff still holds up, and I can still listen to it.
Friends in Low Places is great.
It's still great, and like some of those. The guy had tremendous vocals. He had tremendous pipes.
Yeah.
He seems like kind of a weird guy a little bit.
Seems like an extremely weird guy.
But I like Tom Segura loves to make fun of him. I don't know if you know that.
No.
Tom Segura has made fun of Garth Brooks so much that if you say the name Tom Segura in front of Garth Brooks, he'll get out his phone and he'll pull up the video of Tom Segura breaking his ankle playing basketball. Because there's a video out there of Tom Segura on the basketball court running and jumping and just snapping his ankle. And Garth Brooks will just pull it up and show it to you because he's just been skewered by Tom Segura so many times.
That's funny. That's great.
But like, I remember at the time, like it was weird. It was like, it seemed like Garth, like, are you a Garth guy or an Alan Jackson guy?
Yeah.
It's almost like Ford or Chevy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm a Garth guy.
Yeah.
And now I look back, I'm like, Alan Jackson's way better than Garth
Way
Brooks.
better.
So much. And like his stuff has held up so much more.
Yeah.
You
My
listen to,
mom was
old Alan Jackson, it all holds up.
It's almost like a throwback to that 70s, 80s style. It wasn't very poppy. It was just country.
It was just country, man.
You know, where, you know, Garth Brooks is very poppy.
Very
you know,
poppy.
It was very,
very
you know,
like, you know, yeah, very
like
easy
arena
listening.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, but like I said, that's why it had that mass appeal.
Yeah,
that's why he was able to pull everybody in, because it sounded a lot like mainstream pop music.
Yeah.
And so he pulled all those millions of fans in. And
yeah, my dad loves country and
still does.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's not going anywhere. But yeah, David Allan Coe, You Don't Have to Call Me Darling. Let's talk a little bit about the song before we get out of here, just to talk about it. We talked all around it.
Yeah.
Talked about David, talked about country. This poor guy just wants his girlfriend, his old lady, whatever, to acknowledge him. And she won't.
Yeah.
She just won't call it. She calls him darling because she doesn't know his name.
Wow. Yeah.
What a kick in the teeth, right?
Yeah.
Could you imagine that? You ever dated someone and not known their name?
Like they're hanging out.
Yeah.
And she's like, darling.
Yeah.
She keeps forgetting what his name is.
Yeah.
And probably in bed too, we have to assume. Instead of crying out his name, she's like, "Oh,
Willie,
baby."
No, she specifically, you know, you don't have to call me Willie. Like he's name dropping other.
Yeah.
Like it's
you
not
don't have
just
to call me Charlie Pride.
Yeah, Charlie. There's an interesting one to tie back to everything else. So if you don't know, Charlie Pride is a Black African American country artist. So kind of interesting that was one of the names in there, considering
he's like,
where
well,
everything is.
I wanted to use the N word, but. They told me to get more radio play. I said Charlie.
They said they would play it on the radio if I said Charlie Pride. So Waylon, he's like, you don't have to call me Waylon, Jenny. And he says the only time I'm ever going to get called David Allan Coe is when I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
You know what would he before Saint? Saint who's
Peter?
at the gates?
Saint
Saint Peter. Yeah. Because he may not get in, you know,
right.
He'll just be at the gate.
Right. He didn't say when I get in the gates.
Right,
He said, when I'm at the gates and they're turning me away.
Yeah. I'm like, well, a little down and to the left. My favorite part when my dad would sing karaoke, you have that's the first part of the, and then you have the back half, which is funny. Yeah. One of the funniest verses in music.
Verse.
He's got a talking part. He's like, well, you know, this is perfect country. You know, my friend said it was the perfect one, Steve Goodman, but it's not. Because you've left out a bunch of stuff. You left out Mama and getting drunk and prison and a truck. And then he comes back and trains. Yes. Yeah. So my dad, when he sang it, instead of saying Mommy, he'd say Liz, which was my mom's name. And, you know, and he'd sing at the same bar every single time, which is this American Legion where David Allan Coe eventually played at.
Wow.
And, you know, people would cheer because they knew, you know, they were all friends with each other and everything else. So it always got like a pop from everybody that he was sitting there, you know, mentioning my mom getting hit by a train, you know.
Yeah.
But I'd love to tell you that I hate this song and I hate country in general. As a matter of fact, I actually have done this at karaoke a few times. Nice. I can sing a tune poorly. I can sing country well, which is unfortunate because I have no interest in it.
Yeah.
But I'd always sing it, and you know, I have good thoughts about my dad, regardless of how everything turned out, when I think of this song, because I just think of him just having a good time at karaoke singing it.
Such a good time song.
Yeah,
it's a fun song.
It's a great fun song. Like, how could you hate this song? Like, honestly, how could you?
And if you do it at karaoke, people in the crowd are gonna engage. They're gonna be like, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I was with one of my black friends one time, and he goes, is in the Marine Corps. This song came on, and he goes, look around right now. He goes, this song, what do you say? Like, this song for white people is like this is like y'all's Whoop There It Is or something. Like, yeah, white people fucking love that song.
They do, yeah. It's like I said, just a great, perfect. I mean, he tells you it's a perfect country song, so in your head you think
it's a perfect country and western song.
Yeah, you know, it's like
so old fashioned. He says country and western. It's such an old fashioned term.
We play both kinds here.
Yeah,
country and western. I love that movie. And that's Blues Brothers. You know, just for people who don't know, but
old people.
Jeez, favorite comedy of all time. That's got to be it.
It's so great.
Where's Dodgeball rank on your comedies?
It's up there. I love Dodgeball.
I love Dodgeball.
Ben Stiller, you can't go wrong.
No, I'm a big my fiance is a big Vince Vaughn fan.
He's so funny.
He is so funny.
So funny.
Yeah, and so well spoken. He was on Hot Ones recently, and you got to watch this because this is the way he's talking. I'm just like, is this a character he's doing right now, or is this like how he talks it normally? Is this crazy like language? Like intentional word choice. You know, we talk about this as comedy, comedians and stuff like that. It's just like his intentional word choice is just like, I was like, man, this is perfect. You know. So let's wrap up. We talked about Hey Mama. Decided it's a good song. I didn't think it was, when you sent it to me, I didn't know that that's what it meant to you, which is great that it was like, it got you through the darkest times that you had as like an employee, which is just crazy. And then, we had David Onco, and it just, I thought we were going to talk more about family, and it was like, this is my dad's song. I'm always going to have this tied to my dad more than anything else. So, kind of where we're at. We talked about country. We talked about David Onco. We talked a lot more about country than I thought I'd ever talk about in my entire life.
I love it.
Yeah, and I don't. I have one country song on my playlist, and it's Highwaymen.
Oh, it's a great song.
It is a great song. I love that. I love everybody's verse. I love how everybody sounds on that.
There's so much great new country out.
I'll take your word for it.
Well, there's so much like pop country that we hate so much. There's so much of that and that. But like, there's such a huge like alternative scene. Like, there's so much like good. And you mentioned Jason Isbell.
Yeah.
Sturgill Simpson.
Yeah.
Chris Stapleton. Those are just the ultra superstars. There's like so many dozens and dozens of artists.
Yeah, like almost like a new wave of like outlaw country kind of guys. Yeah.
Doing all different kinds of styles.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna be talking to somebody about Sturgill here in a couple days.
Sturgill's so good.
So Will, how can we find you on the internet if you want to look up the camera and tell us?
Look me up on all the socials. Willie with a Y, Willie Thrilly with a Y, Willie Thrilly Comedy.
Willie Thrilly Comedy. You got them all?
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
You got it on TikTok too?
I finally got on TikTok.
I'm trying. I'm hoping that it gets shut down before I have to.
That's what I thought, but I've been waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, fine. Here, have all my information, Chinese government. Our new soon-to-be overlords. Might as well take it now.
Might as well. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
This is fun.
Yeah, it is. Good. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I should have pointed this out sooner. If you've already watched this and you didn't, I'm supposed to say this. This is all new to me. You're supposed to go listen to these songs before we talk to them, before we talk about them.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah,
you can't play them.
Right? Yeah, I can't play them, but please go listen to them. Come back and listen to this again. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. This is Gimme a Song. As we always close out, if you liked it, tell a friend. If you didn't, keep it to yourself. Thank you and have a great day.
He's going to get on the mic and he's going to
go. You ain't worked hard enough.
Yeah.
You ain't ran far enough. Like.
All right. That was fun. Good job. That was great.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Hour went by quickly. That's how it should go.
Yeah. 54 minutes.